I said, I don't see them on here. He said, well, they're not really part of the big plan, the big picture. And I said, what do you mean? That's all you guys talk about? He said, well, we need them for the activity. He said, but you know, it's really about attracting these companies. I said, but Brett, just tell me one of these companies on here that you can't get without the 139. And he stumbled around in the same conversation with Calvin Thompson, the same conversation with other guys. And every one of them have come back and told me, okay, we can get those companies without the 139. Then I say, why the 139? Why be so controversial and have to go after the 139? Let's do this and let's focus on this and let's get these businesses, but let's don't do the 139. I'll get behind you and I'll support you 100%. Every one of them came back with this exact answer. What about the $1 million? I said, what do you mean, the $1 million? Well, if we get to 139, the federal government will give us $1 million a year, up to $1 million a year. I said, what purpose? To run the airport. So we're going to use taxpayer money to run our airport. Oh, it's not really taxpayer money. Well, where's the money come from? Federal government. FAA. Well, where's the FAA get the money? Well, it's fees they charge for people flying other places. A fee is a tax. It's still a tax. It's still taxpayer money. So let me get this straight. We want to get this done so we can receive $1 million to build our airport, and we have a contract with a company named Propeller that they get 97.5% profit, and the county gets 2.5% profit. Sorry, y'all, I can't support that. I don't care about the $1 million. You know, there's nothing comes without strings from the government, does it? If we can do this like McCullum has and other airports have, the airport in Rome, they've done all that without being a commercial airport, then why can't we? And if you're telling me we can't, then maybe we need to hire the people that can. Okay? Now that's my summation on what we need in the county, what it takes to change this county. And I'm going to say this too, when I moved to this county, I knew it was a bedroom community. That was part of the thing that attracted me. And I'm not dumb. I knew when I said, okay, it's a bedroom community, taxes are probably going to be a little higher. But there's a blessing that comes with that. Now, do I feel like we need a little more business, manufacturing, warehousing in the county? I do. But I don't think Paulding County is ever going to change. You look at the statistics and you look at the state companies and in the studies they've done, no matter what we do, it's always going to be lopsided in Paulding County. Do we need to do the best we can and attract the best businesses we can? Yes, and I'm behind that. But let's be realistic about what we're doing. We've got a movie studio now that has put us $9 million in debt. That's on your back. We don't need to bring companies in the county either and give away the farm. I'm glad Interroll's in this county, but we gave away the farm. The land they got for free. Tax abatements for 10 years. The land was county taxpayer land. I don't think we'll ever make up what we lost on Interroll. Not negative towards Interroll. Love them. Let's keep them here. But we don't have to give away the farm. And if the people in power, the only way they can do that, then we need to look at replacing those people. And we need to put people in there that can say, you need to come to Paulding County because of what Paulding County has to offer. The workforce, the internet, the sewer, the rolling hills, the bedroom community lifestyle. They're positive, y'all. They're not negatives. And that's what we need to go after. Now, I want to take a few minutes for question and answers, and I'll be glad to do that. And I know a few hands went up, so let's see if I got a little time.
Yeah.
Okay.
You touched briefly on the movie theater. What's going on with that now?
Next question.
Or not the movie theater, but the movie studio.
Movie studio. The studio has been announced it's up for sale.
Okay.
I have not found out, and I don't know if Todd has, exactly what that sale price is yet. Do you know, Todd?
They're asking 8.5 million.
8.5 million. I heard 8.6, so it's probably close. We'll never get that for it. We'll never get that. What do I think we need to do? You know, something we probably need to maybe put together a panel and talk about. Maybe we just sell it the best we can and cut our losses. But we have $6 million in bonds on it. Is that right?
Yeah, it's kind of a
Mixed
bond
up thing,
because it's, the bonds on that were actually put together with the film studio and the hangar up there, and then there was another package of bonds for the water tower up there.
Correct.
So it's kind of
Correct.
hard to split it out, if you know what I'm saying.
And I'm not against writing bonds and doing tax abatements, but yeah, we need to know what we're doing, and we need to have people who understand it and do it correctly. I mean, these companies, these authorities need to be self-sufficient too, because you're in a situation where they say it's never gonna cost you anything. We were told if the movie studio was built, it would never cost taxpayers a dime. This cost us over $6 million already. It's about to go $9 million in debt, right? It wasn't a good idea. What does think if we'd have took that money and put it in the sewer system?
Amen.
We need to think, we don't need to be flying high in the clouds and thinking, oh, glamorous stuff, man, we need to do what it takes. Okay, I don't know if that answered your question, but
The film industry in Georgia has really taken off, and do all of these major production companies even realize we've got the studio here?
they do, and let's talk about that. And Georgia's probably gonna be at the forefront for a while on that, but you need to do your homework and do your full research. You know, why were movies leaving California to start off with?
Too expensive.
They put a tax on it.
Yeah.
They actually increased it to 50%. So you made a movie in California, you were paying a 50% excise tax.
Yeah.
Well, what'd they do last year? Lowered it to 15%. They're not dumb. They realize, hey, we're losing all the movies. So no, we're not going to see as many leaving California as we used to. But let's look at Georgia now. How do we compete with Tyler Perry and what he's doing down there at the old fort? It's going to be hard to compete with him. I've talked to a lot of people in the industry, and they have toured our facility, and they say there's things in it that we're not done correctly, and that it's not going to attract the right stuff. Could we make it that? Probably, yeah, 100, 150, maybe 200,000. We could probably bring it up to what they say needs to be done. But then that's a chance we're taking again.
You're throwing good money after bad.
So, you know, I don't know. That's why it's so important to make sure we're doing the right things to start off with, and not just following someone's big dreams and who's not being realistic. That's like us trying to go after a Kia plant. Okay? Yes, Teresa.
Vernon, I have heard, and I'm not trying to be negative, but I have heard when the temperatures are right and everything, when you stand outside of that movie studio, you smell the
Spray fields.
and that's
Yeah.
always gonna be
That's true too.
negative. right?
Yeah, you're right. I guarantee it will be a negative.
And I'm sorry, Betty, go.
Hang on one second, lady. Kathy's had her hand up longer.
We have, how many, 3 industrial parks, Paulding County? 3.
Yes.
And I've driven through the one on Memorial Drive to Dallas.
Okay.
The weeds are 6 foot tall, the roads are in horrible shape. How are we gonna sell that to a business?
I agree with you 100%.
We
That's
have
something.
got to take some of that money and put improvement, keep it maintained. And
Well-
from what I understand, they're only doing sections of testing. Test it all, know what's there. You know, I see change order after change order, oh, we found rock, we didn't know rock was there. We're in Paulding County, we have rock.
Thank you.
The granite development does not make a lot of money here.
Exactly, exactly. You know, so instead of focusing on trying to get $1 million, which can only be used for airport improvement.
Correct.
Cannot be used to operate the airport.
Correct.
That $1 million can be only used for airport improvement. So, and we've spent already $17 million taxpayer money at the airport. $17 million Paulding County money at the airport that was not gonna cost us a dime.
That's correct.
Think what we could have done with those industrial parks with that 17 million.
And throw the movie studio on top of it too. We'd have the whole county sewered, wouldn't we? Okay. I agree with what you're saying. You know, we just need to think correctly and make good decisions from this point forward.
Thank you.
Yes, well, let me go with Lydia.
I'm reading something about some kind of study being done in Dawson County and here, on the land around the airport. Can you tell me something about that?
Somebody else might know more than you. You're talking about actually the city of Atlanta's doing that, because they actually
Yeah.
own the land, and I think they're looking
And
at.
that, they own the land
They're looking
surrounding
at,
it.
yeah, and I think they're sending a message for one thing, but I think they're also saying, hey, we own this property, we've owned it since the 70s, and most people don't know that. Let me throw that in. They did buy 10,000 acres in Paulding, but did you hear what she said about Dawson? They bought 10,000 acres up there too. So they had two options to put an airport. Now, later in the late 70s, early 80s, they did a feasibility study and decided that Paulding would not be the best place for a second airport. And pretty much said, okay, that's not where we're going. So they still own this land, so what are they going to do with it? They're looking at doing different types of things, whether they sell it off or whether they do some type of recreation type deal. It's my understanding, and other people here may know more about that issue than me. Does anybody else? Can you?
It's speculation, but I think they're just saying, hey, we're here.
Yeah.
You know, we own this 9,400 acres, and we're gonna spend some money to see what we can do with this 9,400 acres. It's just like saying, you know, because the city of Atlanta does not want a second airport. You know, they generate so much income for the state of Georgia through Hartsville. They don't want a second airport. So
And if they do, they're going to own it.
that's right,
They're gonna own
exactly. They want to be the one that puts
Right
the
or
second
wrong,
airport.
that's their attitude. Right or wrong, that's a whole different.
Another
Exactly.
thing that was thrown out back in the 70s, since I've been here forever, was their landfill. The city of Atlanta's landfill.
Well, they can't do that if it's not zoned for a landfill. They would have to get
Yeah.
zoning from Paulding County to make.
Well, no, but I mean, that's one of the things
That's
they
one of the
were,
things, well, you know,
they've been throwing out there, so.
well, I know a couple of commissioners, so good luck with
It's
that.
superior
I
jurisdiction.
don't want a
It's jurisdiction
landfill.
that we don't- I thought landfills on my life.
Really?
So,
Now,
yes,
this is my question here. You think about all this money that you can spend, and you talk about putting the sewer. We have our property up for sale, we're trying to sell it commercial, and my guy asked me, give me some benefits of a company moving to Paulding County. Well, I contacted Jamie Gilbert, said, hey, what do we have here? And so, but you take that 17 million, not only can you start working on sewer, which is huge in this county, which we tried to put our property up before, and that's always been one of our sticking points, no sewer. But if you're taking some of that money, because you can work with Cobb County and Bartow County right now, I know I've been preaching this and y'all know it, they are looking at an exit route at 3rd Army Road off of 75. Cobb County's already designed their interchange right there at 41. You can take some of that $17 million, you don't, and I was at the one at Emerson, it's not all 4-lane. If you just straightened right now, Dabbs Bridge where trucks get coming through, and you got 278, you got I-20. We are connected then with the north and south line of this country and the east and west line. We have a connection here. That in itself will open up economic development.
I think it'd help.
I mean, you know, that much more than an airport. Now, the guy did tell us to, again, one of the things we said was that we have a ready workforce. And one of the things that I told him that we have is we have a sense of community here. We are still small enough that if somebody comes in, we still have a sense of community. So, because they have, you know, if they're going to bring their employees in here, and maybe they bring employees in here, they'll hire some here, but they'll also bring some people to move to Paulding. They have to know what they're moving their employees into. So I told them we do have a good sense of community here. A couple other things, but one of the things they also told me is we need to improve our schools in Paulding County. That our schools are not rated high enough to really help bring in people to come into our county. Well, one of the other things I think that we have a benefit for that we might could work on is if y'all look at Bartow County, every time you turn around, Bartow County has got another business. Well, I know they're right on 75, but they're willing to work, and their Chamber of Commerce is willing to work with people. But Virginia and I talked about this. As Bartow County expands with all these businesses, we need to start trying to attract more people to actually even move into Paulding, develop it out even more, because we're a neighbor right there. It's kind of like the part that's right next to Cobb County and Paulding is kind of developed. And the part right next to Douglas County is developed. So we need to start working on developing the part up in the north, and then we'll have our reservoir. And I think that in itself, that's another thing we're waiting on. I didn't put it in there, I didn't tell him now because we haven't got the permit yet to actually start building it, which is what he wanted to know.
Right.
When is that gonna be built? So those are some things that they have asked us about